What is up, guys? It's your boy smelllhappy. In this video, we're going to go through the 10 MMA fights you cannot miss this summer. So I got some online ranked gameplay for you guys to watch while we talk over this topic. And I'll be Murulu Bustamante as a face-off against Rosemere Paul Harris. And this is pretty long, ranked match. So watch the awesomeness of me going, rolling through this guy. But going back to the topic, the 10 MMA fights you cannot miss this summer. And I actually ranked these from 10 to 1, so it's a lot easier tell which fights you should really watch. So we're gonna start off at number 10, which is Hector Lombard versus Tim Boesch. Now Hector Lombard was supposed to face Brian Stann at UFC on Fox number 304. I really forgot, but it was in August, and he was supposed to fight Brian Stann, but Brian Stann got injured. Now Tim Boesch was supposed to face Michael Bisping, and since Michael Bisping got injured, these two are going to be put together at UFC 149 in July 21st. So yeah, so Hector Lombard coming off recent victories in Bellator, and Bellator has some pretty nice competition, but it doesn't have the competition that the UFC had. So we'll see how he does in the UFC. And Tim Boesch coming off an impressive victory over Yushin Okami after he got dominated in the first 2 rounds. He came back swinging with those uppercuts and then just knocked the hell out of Yushin Okami. So it was a pretty impressive win. We'll see how Tim Boesch does against a highly, awaited person like Hector Lombard going into the UFC. So we'll see how he does. If Tim Boesch could beat Hector Lombard, then it'll solidify himself as one contender in the middleweight division. And if Hector Lombard can beat Tim Boesch, then that'll solidify himself as one of the best in the middleweight division. So we'll see how that fight goes. So you cannot miss that fight this summer. That's at number 10. Going on to number 9 is going to be Vanderlei Silva versus Rich Franklin. Now the first fight was pretty fun, plain and simple. Now these two were swinging back and forth. They were getting the best of each other, but at the end Rich Franklin won by unanimous decision. And Vanderlei Silva, at the time, he was still one of the best middleweights in the division. And these two are getting pretty old now. Now Vanderlei Silva coming off a recent victory over Kung Le, but before that, you cannot forget about Chris Lieben just knocking the hell out of Vanderlei Silva. That means he's getting a weak chin. Now, a weak chin is not very good. That indicates that you're getting old and you shouldn't be fighting anymore. And we'll see if he can beat Rich Franklin. Now, Rich Franklin is really old too, but he has a lot of energy left in him. He has a good chin, so I think he'll stay around a little bit longer. But this could be Vanderlei Silva's retirement fight. It's going to take place at UFC 147 on June the 23rd. So going on to the next fight at number 8, it's going to be Uriah Faber versus Brandon Barrow. This fight was supposed to be on UFC 148, but it got moved to UFC 149, so it's going to take place on July the 21st. And Uriah Faber coming off, the Ultimate Fighter here, and he's supposed to face Dominic Cruz, but Dominic Cruz got injured, so this will be for the interim bantamweight title, I believe. And Brandon Barrow got moved up to the line, or moved up to this interim championship fight, which usually means just the number 1 contender fight for the bantamweight championship. It's not really a real championship fight, but Uriah Faber is gonna make this entertaining, and you guys have to watch out for this fight. So going on to the next fight, it's gonna be Ivan Medjevar versus Mike Easton. Mike Easton, just a total beast. I rank this at number 7. We're going to see a war here against these two fighters, and you cannot miss this in the summer. So going on to number 6, Pat Curran versus Patricio Ferrer. I believe that's how you say it, but this is actually a non-UFC fight, which makes the list at number 6. Pat Curran just coming off a dominating victory over Joe Warren. Joe Warren just cannot take Pat Curran, and honestly, I thought that fight should have been stopped earlier. But yeah, Pat Curran just beat the shit out of Joe Warren, and we'll see how he does against Patricio Ferrer. Pat Curran looking to win against there, and hopefully he'll have one of those amazing victories like he had against Joe Warren again. So going on to number 5, it's going to be Luke Rockhold versus Tim Kennedy. This is Strike Force card. It's going to be Strike Force Rockhold versus Kennedy on July 14th. And Luke Rockhold is a beast too. I like him a lot. And Tim Kennedy, I'm really starting right now. I don't even know right, but yeah, it's gonna be Tim Kennedy is a total beast too. So Luke Rockhold is gonna have to prove himself here. I expect these two to be in the UFC soon. So we'll see how this fight goes. But going on to number 4, it's gonna be Ronda Rousey versus Sarah Kaufman. Now, Ronda Rousey is a fucking beast. She takes people's arms off, and she has never been past the first round, and she just goes after armbar after armbar. And Sarah Kaufman is one tough son of a bitch. So yeah, she's a bitch, but that's what I think. She kind of looks like a man, but yeah, whatever. Sarah Kaufman is a fucking beast too. She's tough as fuck, and we'll see how Ronda Rousey does against a veteran like Sarah Kaufman. So going on to number 3, it's going to be Benson Henderson versus Frankie Edgar. Now, these two had a war the first time they came around, and a lot of people thought that Benson Henderson won, and a lot of people thought that Frankie Edgar won. And I don't really like to call him Benson Henderson. I'll just call him Ben Henderson. But yeah, Frankie Edgar, I think he just got dominated the whole fight. I mean, Ben Henderson just looked nice as shit in that fight. I mean, nice as fuck. He wasn't tired at all. He got dropped like a couple times. Frankie Edgar just, you know, the usual Frankie Edgar where he gets fucking beat up, and then he comes back and just starts jabbing him and moving him around. So we'll see how these two do. I honestly think Ben Henderson's gonna win again, but yeah, it's gonna be at UFC 50 or 150 on August 11th. So going on to the next fight, which is number 2, it's gonna be John Jones versus John Henderson. Now, John Jones coming off a Rashad Evans victory, unanimous decision, and we'll see how John Jones does against Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson obviously coming off a big victory over Shogun Rua, and Dan Henderson will look to beat John Jones, and we'll see. I think we'll see a little bit of John Jones' wrestling, and that wrestling will determine who the fight winner is. So yeah, so John Jones looking to have another big win over a veteran of a sport like Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson looking to be the new light heavyweight championship. We'll see who wins in that fight. Going on to number 1, it's going to be Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen. Now, the first time around, Anderson Silva, he did not look good at all, and Chael Sonnen just fucking dominated his ass on the ground. But the problem was he was not passing at all. No passing, just beating the shit out of him in full guard, and Chael Sonnen just dominated him for the first 5 rounds. And in the middle of the 5th round, out of nowhere, Anderson Silva comes out and triangles him, wins the fight. And what makes this fight interesting is because Chael Sonnen just talks a lot of bullshit on Anderson Silva the first time around, and he's going to do the same the second time around. So we'll see who wins this fight. Anderson Silva won the first one, but Chael Sonnen looking to finish the fight this time. Not just to grind out, you know, trying to ground out a decision. We'll see how it does. The fight is on UFC 148 on July 7th. So those are 10 fights, 10 MMA fights you cannot miss this summer. And, you know, I'll be sure to watch all these fights for you guys. I'll have the coverage on everything on my channel. And so, I got a little hiccup there, but so I hope you guys like this video and the knockout. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Smell happy out.